Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Dragooned. Yeah, I know. I did a stream on this one and I wasn't very pleased with it there, but I figured I should probably do a bloody gameplay video on it anyway. So, Dragooned is made by the same person who made Skylight Free Range and Skylight Free Range 2. Now, as much as you might laugh at those games, they were actually a series of relatively engaging RPGs, despite the fact that they looked like some sort of art project made in 2 weeks. But I gave those games a lot of credit because they had really engaging gameplay and a cool little idea for a story, and they were all made by one dude. Graphics, sound, and gameplay, all made by one dude. This is from the same guy. All of it. So, you know, sound, gameplay, graphics, right? And considering that I was pleasantly surprised by the Skylight games, I figured I'd give this one a shot. I bought it for $5 because it's going to be $5 all throughout its release week. You know how I said you shouldn't laugh at the Skylight Free Range games? You're more than welcome to laugh at this one, but let's get on to why. So, it's got a full-on tutorial, which is pretty simple, and you've got different challenges for different people that really test your knowledge of them, and I haven't been able to beat a single one of those. There is a reference for how everything works, including every character in the game. There are over 40, which is pretty neat, and you've also got different things like their tags and records for all your different modes, and as you can see, I've only been playing for about an hour. I honestly haven't picked this up since I did my live stream of it. You can see why in a minute. So we've got 3 different modes. You've got Onslaught, Skirmish, and Endless Dungeon. Skirmish is a fight against up to 3 different AI characters, and Onslaught is basically one character versus an endless wave of enemies. However, those are not the most interesting modes in the game. The most interesting mode is Endless Dungeon, so we might as well do that. You can save your game every 5 levels and come back to it later, but we're not going to do that. So you've got 40 different characters in the game, and the 40 different characters are kind of ridiculous. You have Charizard here, you have what looks like the Pokemon trainer who's gone rather dark, you have Sam Fisher, you have a weird FBI guy who can drop fucking girders on people for some reason, you have Space God Traven, you have just a bunch of ridiculous things. Yes, hello, Impossible, for whatever fucking reason this guy's a character. Some of these are characters from Free Range and Free Range 2. However, there are also a bunch of characters here that are from games we haven't actually seen on the Vita yet. It doesn't really matter who I get, so I'm just going to pick 3 random dudes. And off we go. So, this is the general idea of Free Range. Oh, not Free Range, sorry, Dragooned. Dragooned is very simple. There are, or at least the Endless Dungeon mode anyway. So you have these platforming levels to go through, right? And your problems start immediately as you get a grip on the controls. They are slippery as fuck, especially when you're in the air. You need to control yourself very precisely while you're in the air, otherwise you're screwed. The general idea is that you need to hold the X button in order to do an attack, or, you know, press it depending on the character, and you'll attack. You do also have different abilities on the square and triangle button. However, these abilities are relatively dependent on the character that you're using. You can also press the select button to swap characters, and you can swap to a different character who will often have a different set of abilities. I will give the creator of this game a fair bit of credit. All of the characters in this game are very different and have very different sets of abilities. So, for example, Sherry here, or whatever her bloody name was, has this jumping slash ability. She also has the ability to increase her defense. Everyone's also got an ultimate that's on the L button that builds up over being attacked and attacking. You can also block with the R button. However, the problem with blocking in this game is that you need to block within the first 5 frames to get what the game calls a perfect block. And a perfect block will protect you from all damage for about a second. But as you can see, from all of the different enemy types here, and by all the different enemy types I mean the one, they introduce a new enemy type every 5 levels because they're fucking idiots. The general problem with perfect blocking is that the animations that tell you whether or not an enemy is going to actually attack you are fucking useless at determining when they're actually going to attack you. So oh wow, they actually gave me Charizard. He can fly, but his attacks are really slow, and he has this weird little ball ability, which is just kind of useless in all honesty. But you'll see that shortly. So, every 5 levels, you basically have to fight someone. You have to fight one of the enemy AI, and this brings out one of the problems I have with the game's characters. The AI in this game is, at least for the enemy human characters, well, and by human I mean the playable characters, the AI for these guys are varied as hell in their effectiveness. And there is a bit of a weird thing where some characters are just completely useless in the AI's control because the characters themselves are useless. Some of these characters are horrendously unbalanced. Here comes the first ranged enemy in the game, by the way, which is the mages. So at the end of the 5 levels, you get all your characters back. Fuck. You get all of your characters back at full health with their abilities recharged except for their ultimates. And you have to go through basically just another 5 levels again. The levels apparently go on forever. We're talking something like 150 levels here. And the unfortunate thing is that pretty much everything you do in this game is boring as fuck. I do not need to tell you just how boring this is. You can just look at it. There are a couple of other things you can do. Like you can dodge roll, which does help sometimes. And there are a couple of other things. But seriously, the game is about as boring as it looks. The enemies are really dull. The controls just don't work. Actual combat is just floaty and unresponsive, and it's just really unsatisfying to play in general. The reason why Skylight Free Range got away with having such weird graphics and characters is that it was more or less a turn-based RPG, so you could get away with having the... Okay, he's dead, so I have to swap to Sherry now, who is probably a much more useful character if she wasn't so fucking floaty in the fucking air. I hate this fucking thing. Right, let me get my shit back together. But yeah, the controls are floaty as hell. The actual combat for at least most of the characters is ridiculously floaty. And just the overall repetitiveness of the levels is unattractive to say the least. Especially since the levels are so bloody similar and the platforming is so annoying. So you end up just going through these levels again and again, getting bored within the first few minutes. So I'm going to quit to the main menu now. I'm going to play Onslaught. Skirmish is literally just like one of those AI battles before, but all the enemies, you can have up to 3 and they will all be against you. So you're going to get the shit beat out of you if you have more than one enemy. And let's go play Onslaught instead. I'm just going to random and we're going to play as whatever character we get for 5 minutes just so you can see what some of the other characters are like. Sure, some of them do require a bit of finesse, but the game's just terrible. The game's terrible in general. Combat feel makes it so that you don't really want to put in the effort to actually learn these characters because, like, considering that it's really hard to know exactly when you're supposed to block against these fucking things, there doesn't really seem to be a point to learning any of these characters or what they can do just because the game's just overall level of jank will just absolutely floor you pretty much every time. Oh yeah, she has a projectile attack, which is kind of neat. Thankfully, I can just stand here and spam it, because why the hell not? You can even see that I'm hitting, because I get ultimate in the bottom right corner there. But yeah, let's Onslaught again. So, this is Knight, apparently. Looks nothing like any other Knight I've ever seen. It looks like a fucking Power Ranger. But the only good thing that's good about this game that it has going for it is the general variety of the characters. Everything else sucks. The music is pretty bad. Like, it seems to be even worse than flippin', it seems to me to be even worse than Skylight Free Range, because at least with Skylight Free Range, you could imagine, like, this being, like, an idle overworld theme or what have you. This, whatever the hell this is, this just doesn't fit. The music here just doesn't fit, it doesn't work at all, and I'm really not that big of a fan of it. The graphical style is really boring because it's basically just this sort of flat land you're running across with this flat background going on here, and it doesn't look or feel particularly great either. And at least the game's got decent performance. Here's the guy who drops girders on people, by the way. So you have to lay the girder, then you have to press the triangle button in order to actually drop it on people. So you actually have to do things like stun these dudes. However, you can only stun one thing at a time. So this guy is absolutely fucking useless for anything outside of single combat. In this game, that doesn't happen a lot. So let's just quit back to the menu and go with another character, because why the hell not? And we get her again. The randomness seems to be kind of biased against me, I gotta say. Alright, this works a little bit better. Weird little fisticuffs, but sure, whatever. It works. I wish I could say I like it. Like, the guy had some good ideas with Skylight Free Range. Personally, I was hoping that this game, Dragooned, was, when I first heard about it, before I saw any screenshots or gameplay, first thing I thought was, oh, it's going to be like a standalone combat-focused version of the Skylight Free Range games. That would have been great. That would have actually worked really well as like a major crossover thing. But no, instead it's this weird 2D platformer which has nothing in the way of satisfying gameplay whatsoever. And I can't help but be disappointed in that just because I know the guy's got more in him than this. Should have stuck to the RPGs, but at least it would have worked out better for him if he did. And really, I've got nothing else to say. I don't even want to play this game anymore, just because it's as boring and jank and crap as it looks. And I usually don't like judging games by the cover, because you never know what they'll be like under the surface until you actually get your greasy little fingers on them, but this game just does not work. I don't like it. I don't think that it's worth the money that I paid for it, which was $5 because it's half off on the sale. And honestly, I feel kind of bad about doing it. And I feel kind of bad about slagging the game off because I know this guy can do better, but yeah. Seriously, why didn't you turn this into just like a combat-focused version of Skylight Free Range? That would have been amazing, but no, I can't recommend it under any circumstances. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.